Hi. So let's continue with the book by Shimura, his talk with Daisetz. In the last one, we are talking about this subject of happiness, and it's not easy to get it. So the point already discussed was that it requires us to directly experience the truth. And he was talking about different types of the happiness, but there's something at the core. And one point I just pick up is that he was talking about the moment of when he was using the example of writing this pen or pencil. In that moment, behind that is the infinite time from the past into the future. But because of that, the truth exists in the moment when this pen is moving. And I said that's even dancing or writing or singing. In that moment is very important to realize the truth, and that's something to do with the happiness, the true happiness. So I'm going to continue a couple more pages. And the next segment is continuing from the previous one. Is about, the title is High Level and the Low Level of Happiness. So Shimura was pointing that the Daisetz said happiness is very subjectively experienced. And Shimura asked, if that's the case, what if those people who are in the psychological disorder may be sitting in the cage and smiling? Would that be considered as happiness? Daisetz says yes. And he says that is beyond our realm, a way of analyzing or make any comment about. But what we can say is that if those people do some harm to others, that's troublesome. So in terms of the society's functioning, happiness may have to have some subjectivity. And you can say that, probably. And Shimura says, what about thinking that such happiness with the social realm of consideration into it, isn't that the higher level compared to the other happiness that may be more in person's subjective experience? And Daisetz respond, if you look at happiness itself, however, he says there's no high level or low level. That's what he thinks. But if you look at the situation in relation to various interactions, then you may find higher or lower, wider or narrower. This discussion can be made. And Shimura says at this moment, Daisetz was referring to someone's name who died because they drank too much alcohol or sake. And Daisetz said, those people, they drink sake or alcohol without eating food. So they like the sake so much, and they died because of that sake. So you may be able to say that they are happy with that. So saying, Shimura point, Daisetz was smiling without any hang up to what he said. And in that smile, happy smile, or how do you say, akarui, openness, he exhibited in that smile, Shimura thought that he saw happiness as it is. And I have a comment here that I said page 158. This page is 214, 158. Let me just stop this one. I didn't know 158. And I referred back. Oh, I see. So I'm referring to other segment of this book because it triggered something, and then I went back because at the time I felt this segment of the book in page 158 underlined, and he said this is about Daisetz picking up the leaves in the area of his tombstone. I think people have developed already. So this is in Matsugaoka Bunko. That's the location he lived. And there are tombstones already established for Daisetz himself and his wife, as well as other friends like Nishida and 4 or 5 others, I believe, that who died already. So he was cleaning up the leaves. And that itself is an interesting story. So let me just read it. He was saying to Shimura, asking to help to clean up the tombstone or the area, the funeral. And he said, when I die, I cannot clean up these leaves to be swept out. And when he said that, that was not to say it to anyone, but his own self-talk. And hearing that, by seeing Daisetz looking at his own tombstone, I stopped sweeping and asked to say, that's obvious. So Shimura said, and the Daisetz responded, yeah, that's totally obvious, really obvious. And he said in such a quiet tone of voice, and this obvious had the sound or the meaning that Shimura felt that this person had really went through the obviousness of life and death, that he felt there was such a feeling that he felt in that his uttering. So everybody dies, it's obvious, but we don't realize. It's impermanent, but we may not realize. So we may think that our life may last forever, and then we may each striving to achieve what we call the happiness. But this is typical for pretty much everybody in the whole humanity. So that's what Shimura said. And he continued to say, but Daisetz seemed to have passed through that. He is very clear that it's obvious that we all die. And therefore, he had an instance of, this is in the war period, when the MP, you call it, the military police came to his place to push him out so that they can use the house for the purpose of the military operation or something, in this little temple he had in Kamakura. But he could stand against that, or just sit and told them that I am not moving. Why? Because this is necessary for the people. So anyway, that's just the background. And then he, having said that it's obvious that we'll die, or that's obvious that he cannot sweep his tombstone area, and he just continued to sweep off all the fallen leaves. So that's in front of the tombstone which has his name on it, and the person himself is picking up leaves, and that scenery was something. Okay, I have to stop this. To impress those who watches him doing that. So whatever we say in our words is like the leaves, fallen leaves in the wind. But when it is obvious, as he said, to respond that he cannot do this sweeping, a truth that the Shimura felt. The truth was shining, and it's immovable, the weight of it. Then he felt that there was only Daisetz there, and he felt he was gone. He felt, compared to him, his existence is like nothing, because the Daisetz had some kind of the word is the weight, the way he lived, presenting himself. So anyway, I didn't plan to do this, but going back, so that was page 158. For some reason, I referred to that when Daisetz laughed about the point that they were talking about, that when you look at the happiness, if the people dies because of drinking too much sake, it's okay. And he laughed without any other thought. And in that smile, he felt happiness in himself. I think I have to stop here. It's only a small book, but it's just the one tiny page, but I kind of drifted away. So I'm going to take a rest, and I'll continue after I come back. The segment again is about the happiness. There are different levels of happiness or not. And he was responding that it may depend on each person's situation, but in relation to the norm of the society, there may be something that we need to think about. But at the end, it's for each one's subjective experience. But there are more stories to continue, and I'd like to come back. Thank you. I'll take a rest.